Welcome dear learners. This lecture on witchcraft and religious activities has been developed based on the selected references available. It has been divided into introduction, witchcraft, magic in indigenous communities and its socio-cultural view for the discussion purpose. Shall we now go to the topic? Dear learners, as objectives of this lecture, learners will enable to know the idea of witchcraft in socio-cultural studies, to make a platform to discuss the various views on witchcraft in religion. Also, to understand the different views on witchcraft and magic pertaining to as its performance. Witchcraft, magic are difficult to define by itself because they have so many interpretations. They play an important part in many societies and interact with other things. Magic is a broad term that outsiders, means theoretically objective observers, use to describe specific practices in societies where this word or its conceptual equivalent may not even exist. Because of this, different things are put together under the idea that they work the same way. This idea of magic is also made up. It is only as meaning in relation to what it is not, mainly faith and science as other ways of making sense of the world. Such meanings of magic favor cultures that put a lot of emphasis on science and make fun of people who use magic instead religion. So, to define magic and figure out who the performer is, one needs to know how these terms are used in different cultures. No matter how it is called, the idea of magic is used in many cultures to clearly separate certain actions from rites, routines or practices that might be similar in other ways. Even though the connection between magic and religion and science is not clear, it has its roots in the most important institutional, social and intellectual practices of the modern era. Also, reason attempts to come up with a single meaning of a magic show a bias towards the society. In particular, the way people thought about how culture and history changed in the 18th and 19th century made magic different from faith and science. Sir James Fraser, a British anthropologist, came up with a model that says magic is an early stage in human growth that is replaced by religion and then science. Most of the talk about magic in the 20th century was about a link between magic, religion and science. This can be seen in the fieldwork of anthropologists, the ideas of sociologists of the religion and the critics of postmodernists. So, in the second half of the 20th century, research in comparative religion, history and anthropology turned away from the evolutionary model and toward more context sensitive interpretation, while other studies came up with new ways to compare cultures. Still, magic, religion, science model has a lot of explanatory power and people often use dichotomies to tell the difference between magic and religion or science. In every magical performance, the following things are vital using certain methods and techniques, including the employing of chants for some actual tools, strange actions, special outfits, costumes and ornaments. Different groups have accepted different kinds of magic techniques such as homeopathy or imitative magic, natural magic, sympathetic magic, frequency magic, resolve power magic, forbidden or negative magic, white magic and black magic. Modern research on magic has come up with a number of broad theories and definitions. These theories and definitions usually talk about magic in connection to religion and science or more often in addition to them. Religion and rituals are not separate entities with regard to their place in social life. They are the two aspects in social life. They function within the sphere of culture. In sociology and anthropology, culture is a combination of material life, spiritual concepts, religious practices and social dimensions which a social group has formed out of its social and historical development. Further, the culture of a social group also includes technological development, production of goods, education, science, arts and beliefs. Thus, within this broad circle, religion and literature find a place. In this context, it is necessary to define religion. Professor Nimitham Smart defines the nature of religion briefly and clearly. According to him, religion has 6 dimensions. They are theories, rituals, ethics, teaching, practices and the spiritual aspect of religious experience. Rituals may include various aspects like witchcraft and magic. In the social and religious life, witchcraft has found a place throughout the ages in all human societies. This lecture deals with the witchcraft in religion. Let us first explain what witchcraft is. People had feared witchcraft from early times. What were they really afraid of? It is difficult to give a definite reply to this question. Some people may be afraid of demon control by the witch or magician. Some may be afraid of the magical spells the witch will cast upon them. It is also difficult to define witchcraft. In fact, there are many definitions for the word. The dictionary definition of the words is that it is the activity of performing magic to help or harm people. However, people have always associated witchcraft with its use for evil purposes. It was the exercise or invocation of supernatural powers to control people or events. These practices were called sorcery or magic. This concept differed from culture to culture. In the West, witchcraft consisted of as the ugly old woman who met secretly at night and performed rites with the devil and performed magic. But in other cultures, such as Indian or African, they have different characters and functions. In many cultures, witchcraft beliefs blend other concepts such as magic, sorcery, religion, folklore, theology and diabolism according to Britannica. A witch attempts to influence the surrounding world through occult or hidden means. Witchcraft arose out of human desire to achieve one's purposes, whether by open or secret means. Witches worked secretly and privately, but practice of religion has always been open and public. What were the means the witch or the sorcerer uses for his or her purposes? They are incantation, means formulas or chants, or mantras invoking evil spirits, foretelling the future as oracles, amulets and charms to ward off hostile or harmful spirits, medicines, dolls or other figures. People used to approach them for gaining help or to get property or to seek revenge. Let us now analyze the place of chants in witchcraft. Chants or mantras are considered today as part of black magic as a means of harming people through spells or removing such evil spells, and for detoxifying poison from a person stung by a snake. However, according to anthropologists, it has been used to create an illusion through which a person is controlled. Mantra is a strategy used to create an illusion that nature can be manipulated or controlled through these chants. In ancient societies, chants were used for various purposes when their life was one of struggle with nature. When those people did not know how to control them, they resorted to using chants to control disasters like storm, earthquake and drought. They believed that by doing certain activities or rituals along with the mantras, they could bring rain. In the hunting society, chants and rituals were performed before the hunters started for their hunting expeditions. They were also accompanied by community dances. Many of these rituals are performed even today. Religions perhaps had their origins in witchcraft, this is discussed in detail in a later stage. When people of ancient times found that their chants failed to bring what they asked for, they started believing in other supernatural elements. To propagate these supernatural elements or gods, they offered sacrifices or performed other rituals. The person who led these activities assumed the position of priest or priestess. In the analysis of witchcraft in the West, the types of witchcraft have been identified and they are grouped under 4 main folds. The first was the demonic witch of the elite. It was close to the devil. The next is village witch of the common people who harmed her or his neighbors. The third one was the folkloric witch found in stories and legend. Lastly, witchcraft was a matter of personal experience of individuals who went into trance or divination. The demonic witchcraft was considered a religious crime. The village witch was an evil figure which the peasants considered to harm their families and farms and affected their health. It was not a threat to a person but the threat to the village as a whole. The folkloric witch was a character from stories told by villages. The envisioned witches were of 2 related types. The first type is people who had trance experiences. The second type is person had a nightmare or traumatic experience and felt that he had been attacked by them. Witches were secretive. Some could be identified because they were actually magical practitioners, but they were not actually witches. But if they misused their powers, they would be accused of witchcraft. In villages, witchcraft was identified when someone suffered misfortune after a quarrel with the neighbor. Misfortune could be taken into the effect of the cause. In terms, the practice in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, it could be an evil magical element placed in the house of the person with the help of a sorcerer. In the early modern period of Europe, a suspected witch could be arrested and tried. The witches were thought to be collectively worshipping the devil and carrying out secret rituals. People felt threatened by witchcraft because they believed in magic. The power of witches was magical. Further, they were threatened by it because they believed in religion. In Europe, witches were hunted out and punished. Then witch hunt was an official attempt to promote correct religion. One can find the elements of chants or mantras in all religions. Initially, there was no distinction between mantras and religions. They were both born out of man's fear of something. Thus, there are 2 types of mantras, those used in religious rituals and practices and those used in witchcraft. The good chants are used in the worship of gods and prayers for rain or childbirth are those chanted during marriages and deaths. The evil ones were used for harming others. They were used in black magic and other secret rituals. Thus, it is clear that religion and magic or mantras are inseparably blended. In the Indian context, the religious practices, particularly in villages, are generally a mixture of religious rites and magic. For example, in the worship of Amman, means the folk goddess in villages, in Tamil Nadu, there will be a kind of folk dances called kummi. Here, a few persons would have divination and turmeric water would be poured over them. Many of the rituals performed in temples for cure of diseases are related to magical spells. The offerings to the deity will be in the shape of the affected limb of the sick person. In tribal societies, there is a belief that there is a possibility of transferring the character of a person to another through magic. There will be close resemblances between individuals. They believed that the mother's personal traits would be transferred to the child through blood. As part of this belief, they would have the parts of the animals they had hunted, bones, teeth and skin as ornaments. They believed that they would get the strength of the animal. There were also chants related to this act. There are references to such activities in Tamil literature. The appearance of Kottravai described in Silappadiharam will illustrate this point. Kottavai had as her ornaments tooth of tiger, its skin of the elephant, and so on. One can see such practices in the Thoda community. Even today, pujaris or magicians perform ritual using chanting in many rituals areas. As pointed out earlier, there are people who still believe in the black magic. Many research studies have been made on the chants used in witchcraft. The anthropologist James Fraser traces the progress of mankind from magic through religious belief to scientific thought. According to him, the characteristic difference between magic and religion is that whereas magic aims at controlling nature directly, religion aims at controlling indirectly. Fraser traces the principles of magic to two ideas. First, that like produces like are that an effect resemblance its cause. Second, that things which have once been in contact with other distance after the physical contact has been severed. Edward Bernard Taylor says that religion involves a direct personal relationship between humans and spiritual forces. The highest form of the forces is omnipotent spiritual being. Magic, on the other hand, is characterized as external, impersonal, and mechanical, involving technical acts of power. According to Emil Durkheim, religion is communal because its adherents bound together by shared belief from a church. Magic, on the other hand, involves no permanent ties between believers and only temporary ties between individuals and the magician who performs services. R.R. Murad uses the term magical religion. It means that magic and religion had many common elements. Sigmund Freud agrees with Fraser that because the progress of mankind from magic through religion to scientific throughout is seen as an individual means the psychological development, as he is pointed out. Malinowski makes a distinction between religion and magic. Religion deals with the basic problems of human existence, whereas magic is concerned with a particular issue. Levi-Strauss in his book The Savage Mind says that magical rites were the result of collective thinking of developing societies. He explains the differences between magic and religion. He says that religion is a collection of natural laws man has made and magic is the human activity caused by nature. Some anthropologists distinguish magic from witchcraft. According to them, magic is the manipulation of external power by mechanical or behavioral means to affect others. Witchcraft is an inherent personal quality that allows the witch to achieve the same ends. However, the line between the two is not clear. In some parts of the world, an individual may operate in both ways. The Western concept of magic and witchcraft is not the same as found in other parts of the world. Powers of the oracle, spells, and spirit mediation are found worldwide. Religion is a system of beliefs in God and organized public rituals and is run by a professional staff. This operated for the spiritual and material benefit of the believers. Thus, there was an organization which had a set of collective and individual actions like rituals and a code of behavior in a society. The differences between religion and magic or witchcraft are numerous and complex. Religions are belief systems that relate humanity to spirituality. Belief in religion and evil spirits is universal. Both religion and witchcraft were thought to be needed to appease evil spirits. There were practices of sacrificing animals and practicing urges at night found common in Greco-Roman civilization. They are found today among Africans and Asians and even among people of the West. The study of magic as distinct cultural phenomenon has a long history in anthropological, sociological and historical studies. Although some distinction between magic and other religious or scientific activities may be useful, magic cannot be studied in isolation as it once was. Practices classified as magic represent essentially an aspect or reflection of the worldwide held by a particular people at a particular point in their own historical development. Magic, like religion and science, is thus a part of a culture's total value. As Fraser pointed out, the magician, like the scientist, assumed that certain actions properly performed would always produce identical results. Religion, on the other hand, emphasized the propitiation and conciliation of higher powers. To conclude, witchcraft and religion are two different entities, though the elements of one may be found in another. Witchcraft, along with other superstitious beliefs, have almost disappeared. But religion does exist today along with its rituals and specific practices. Dear learners, so far we have discussed witchcraft with detailed notes from various sources in relation to the religious activities. I hope you all enjoyed this session and it may have enriched your knowledge on the religion and in particularly witchcraft. Dear learners, we will meet on other schedule. Thank you and all the best.